we were talking, this is the first episode of It's Only Clint. It's Clint's episode.
This is fun getting under here. Take off the teeth real quick.
Take off the teeth. Take off the teeth. The whole way, huh?
Like an old man now.
But at least you can see.
Because you can't learn in 8 weeks what these people have learned in 40 years.
So we have a good team.
Damn good team.
These two together allows
And can we
you-
hook an iPad or anything portable into this?
I believe you can echo into an iPad. There's an
Okay.
app for that. There's always an app for that.
There's always an app for that. What's the date today, John?
27th.
July 27th, 2016. We are counting down. We're pulling in to Ventura. I'm here with my brother John.
Hello.
What are we hoping to see today?
Well, sanding so that the hull is really smooth, the upper deck is smooth, and everything's getting ready for its coats of paint and varnish. And then we're going to take some time to look at the placement of the electronics.
Okay, that's
and
right.
make sure that that the bracketing is where we want it.
Right.
And that any wires that can be hid get hid. And in general, just kind of put some finishing touches on the process. And boy, am I excited.
There he is.
Hey.
Hey.
Come on in.
All right.
Gotta put my clothes on.
Only Anna and me, period.
Blew the shop down twice. Blew the boat down 10 times. And
Just trying to keep the dust down to a minimum.
you can't keep it down perfectly, but it's not a dust-free environment, so we do our best.
It's also quiet in here.
It's nice. Working.
Oh my God, actually getting something done? How's that list look over there on the hull?
Well, I haven't even been paying attention to that after sanding the boat all week last week.
Okay.
Sanded everything.
Well, we were talking, this is the first episode of It's Only Clint. It's Clint's episode. Clint has been sanding for the last...
Scrubbing, as
Scrubbing
Doug calls
and-
it. Scrubbed all the varnish. So I laid.
Take us through.
I just sanded all the bright work. Sanded the shine off of it really good with 180, and then got our first coat on most of the house.
Oh, nice.
Almost everything
Walk
except-
me through some of the parts here. What were some of the little tricky parts or big chunks of junk? Look how beautiful that piece looks.
Nothing really tricky. You just gotta. Over time, there's a lot of dings and a lot of drips. Like on the house, there was a excuse me, there was a lot of drips that I sanded out. Sanding block, you can kind of see down here.
Now is this right down to bare wood now?
No,
No.
no bare wood. The only bare wood was in the places that were worn over time.
Okay.
So we got to put another coat on this. This is just a first coat.
Oh,
So
look how beautiful that is. Okay, we're gonna take a closer look.
Sanded a
It looks
lot
this
of-
all-
what's
It looks
that?
like all this has been revarnished. Now.
yes, almost all of it. I have to let this dry before I can get down on my knees to work in there.
I got you.
Otherwise, I'll be bumping the sides.
And how many coats will you put on this whole area?
Doug instructed me at least 2 coats, maybe 3.
Okay.
So I'll get this coat on, and then it's a quick sand with 220 just to knock any of the little hairs and stuff down, and then we'll do a good coat on there.
Man, I'm gonna take a look at a little closer look. All right, this is the big walkthrough.
Pretty much got all the drips out from all the old varnish that were on the house.
Okay.
Can't really see on this side, but the other side you can see a little better. I have the doors down to keep the dust.
Now, like these
Keep the
window
dust
frames,
down.
These are all now been sanded down.
Oh yeah, they're ready to go.
Oh, beautiful.
They'll be rebedded properly.
Beautiful. And the house that's got a first coat on it?
Yeah, this is all the first coat. I did this yesterday. You can see right here.
Yeah.
You can see I got all the drips out from all the old varnish pretty much.
Beautiful.
As much as possible without getting into the wood, you know?
Yeah. It's the finishing touches.
Yeah, so now we got, I just did this morning right here. Laid down real nice. But that's just the first coat, so. We'll do another coat on there at least.
And the white, you're also looking to...
The white, I've already prep sanded that for the boatyard. They'll be able to take it.
So
They'll be able to
they'll do
knock
that.
that out. Yeah, they'll be able to knock that out real nicely, so.
And why have the boatyard do that? They have better paint at that boat?
They'll probably come in and just spray it, maybe.
Really?
Tape everything off and spray it.
All right.
That's something we can talk about if you want me to do it.
Okay.
We were thinking about some kind of non-skid, possibly. I know that's a big area to not have any non-skid.
God,
When it's
especially
painted, that's
when
a-
especially when there's no cushion on it.
Absolutely. Maybe some real fine walnut shells or something in the paint.
In the paint?
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
It's like a powdery, just enough not to slip.
Guys, that's the final installation.
Oh yeah, it's in there.
Looks great, obviously.
That's the mounting bracket and everything. It's not the actual unit. You can see some spots that were already there.
Okay.
So this was just a.
What do you do to build that up? How do you put a few extra coats?
I'll just come like today at the end of the day. I'll go through any of this and dab it.
Okay.
Just get some varnish on there, some real thinned out varnish that'll soak in and kind of build it up over a couple days. But all these dings and stuff, you're not going to get these out. You know, we do our best, but like dings and stuff like that. There's a lot of drips in here that I got out. And on this port side, the port side house was just, you could see the drips when you looked on the sides. Just
Looks beautiful now.
it'll get another good coat on there, and it'll look a lot better. Got a couple things to finish today. The rails right here, and
Great. And so you just to put a coat of
I'll just get a coat on those today. Cover everything.
Leave the tape where it is.
Yeah, I'll leave the tape for a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
it's
obviously
fine.
that has to come off for the painting.
Oh yeah.
Put the tape on the other side.
So my goal is to get this thing covered and then hit it with some 220 so we can get the final coat on there. To the top. This is where I started yesterday up here.
Let's move the tape
Top of the
closer.
deck.
Is anything wet that we...
Let's see. Back there is wet, and inside here, and up on the bow. So we're good right here.
This did come out really nicely. One little spot that was underneath.
Yeah.
Work on that. But otherwise, look at that. Beautiful.
I'll catch that today and anything else that I can get. Start building it up. It's looking pretty good though.
I think this came out nicely. You still have to install those lower doors. Huh?
Yeah.
We're here with John to talk electronics, so you just
are.
talk to me. So tell me what we got going here.
So we've got the full set of basic electronics for the boat, the user portions of it. We start here. This is the main multifunction display.
Okay.
We show the navigation, radar, weather. You know, I'm not sure if you can show YouTube on it, but it's certainly possible to believe
so this
that
is
you
a
could.
multi-function
It's a
display.
multifunction display.
So that'll be kind of fun, new
Right.
for us. We used to have the radar and the GPS.
All
and
separated.
all separate.
Yeah, and old. And so this shows overlays.
And analog.
And analog.
Now we got a full
Okay, it's
digital.
a full digital display. You can run overlays so you can see your path through weather and using also other boats. And then this one here is the repeater that's up in the cockpit. It essentially
Okay.
shows what's here, allows you to see what's in the main one, but you could also choose to see different things. So it's completely independent, but they're wired together.
Ah, nice.
So these two together allows
And can we
you-
hook an iPad or anything portable into this?
I believe you can echo into an iPad. There's an app for that. There's always an app for that.
There's always an app for that.
Then we have the basic radio, so UHF radio, VHF radio, sorry.
Okay.
This is the standard one that ship to ship and ship to shore, emergency band.
Have to have it.
You have to have it. By law, this is a requirement.
Okay.
And oh, I'm sorry, going back to the multifunction display, one of the things is, the newest thing is that the larger boats have to report their position electronically.
Okay.
And we get to see where they are. Because takes so long for them to change course, we have to be responsible for that. And this way, most of the large freighters will be beeping to say, here we are, and we'll be able to go around them. And that's
Okay.
really quite
All
important.
right. And did they see us too?
We don't have a transmitter as far as I know.
Okay.
They're expensive and large.
So it's our responsibility to stay out of their way.
Even though we have the right of way,
Yes.
you know, as they say, right of way is given, not taken. So radio, now the fun thing is this is downstairs, but this is essentially the identical radio that lives in the cockpit.
Okay.
And it's just
Weatherproof?
Weatherproof. It is also removable so it doesn't get stolen.
Nice, yes.
As is the repeater.
The
Those are
repeater,
both
that
removable
also
from-
removable. Let's check the back of that.
Okay, you can see it's a little more complicated. It ties into the network and the various
That-
different parts.
It's
This you wouldn't want
removable, but
to, you don't want to do it every 5 minutes.
every time you go out to dinner.
No, you would do this because you were parking the boat for a period of time.
We'll see where this lives.
Yeah, upstairs.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
not too conspicuously. All
Well,
right,
it's in
very
the,
good.
it's
Well,
in
that's
the
great.
in the cockpit down by your knees.
Right.
So it's not particularly visible for anybody.
Let's go take a look at where
okay,
this
great.
stuff would live
Yep.
in the boat and pick some,
Right.
pick a space for everything. All right, Ray Marine.
Cover that back up.
I mean, you have to be real careful with installing however the manufacturer recommends they be installed.
Okay.
So granted, they could go in a cabinet,
Yeah, yeah.
but then number one, they wouldn't get ventilation, and number two,
Right.
somebody that didn't know any better, if they threw a winch handle or a block or something in the cabinet.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about, why we have these guys here. Okay.
Yeah, see,
So-
originally, my original plan was these two would mount here, and they'd be totally behind the display.
Okay.
Doug didn't like that idea.
He didn't want to mount on them.
So this was Doug's idea to move
Okay.
them to here. So, which is fine. If the unit hangs, it will block these.
Okay.
And even if it's in here, it'll block most of those.
Okay, yes.
The problem, and if you found about the bracket, is the way that those units are really, they intend those units to be flush mounted.
From the bottom.
Now, just flush into something.
flush into
like,
something.
Like the repeater out in the cockpit
Right.
Gotcha.
was flush in
Flush
that
in.
block.
Gotcha.
So they don't even include the bracket with it when they sell the unit. It's an extra, but in our case, we needed it because it couldn't be flush mounted anywhere.
No.
So the original idea by going down here is because of the space between the
Right.
display
You see,
and the
right
bracket.
here, you can
Yeah,
see it.
yeah.
And Doug and I came up here and at length went over it, even after John and I had originally, and looked at it. And then the problem with it hanging from the top, because we both thought about it, is the extra space of it hanging down. So that's essentially how it ended up here. The VHF is no problem. I understand you want it moved back to there. Is that?
So we've now actually just come up with a slightly different plan, which is to put the screen, hang it, like we've talked about,
Okay.
have the bracket refashioned to bring it up higher. Okay, have it like we have a stainless steel guy who's already working with us, and show him what we want to do. We just want to tuck that up.
Okay, we
So
can alter that bracket.
Alter that bracket, right? Which is a nice solid bracket. He can either cut it, or which I think is probably the easiest way, and then to take 3 inches off of it and just, and take a look at that, and then mount the VHF right next to it, right in this spot here,
Oh.
right next to
Okay,
it. Put the two
well,
here.
all right.
Clint.
The thing we have to keep in mind
Yeah.
is we are right at the limit of the wiring, mainly the wire to the repeater out there.
Right.
So-
For the
The big display has a cable, network
Right.
cable that plugs
Right.
into the big
We're
display,
at the-
goes to the repeater.
And we've already laid
Well,
that cable,
Well, yeah, and it's only so long.
and it is only so long.
And those are, all that stuff's all in. It's all been pre-wired.
So how
So
far?
where is that?
Well, it's all back in here. Now, the thing to keep in mind is depending on, I think I'll have enough room if we mount the unit as far this way for the display as we can get it.
Yes.
With it here, I was able to get enough slack that I could get it up to the display with it mounted down here. It's going to be a little iffy mounting the display up high if I can get enough more slack to bring all the cables.
Can we order a special cable?
They come one length. I have never seen a extension made for that. A lot of the things like radar cables and stuff, they make an extension.
But I mean, there are plenty of situations where you'd have, I guess, farther away. It's not a wireless. We can't go with a wireless repeater.
Anyway, that's my only question is, if we get too far this way.
Yeah, no, we don't. We want it to be just basically as far aft as possible and still cover these units.
Now
so
then,
that's the goal.
Yeah, so then the question being, now that we
Yeah.
put the countertop in with this up.
Right. So let's
Okay,
maybe
so
Clint,
that-
can I ask you to come down and hold up this unit again?
That's right.
Yeah, that's perfect
there.
right there
There's room.
for that.
Yeah, so that's my concern. We can get, as long as we put the display so it's as close to here as we can get it.
Yeah.
To there.
And back.
Back in
Yeah.
and as close to there as we can get it.
Beautiful.
Which was
That's-
my idea.
And Johnny would like it slightly angled out.
Yeah,
If possible.
yeah, well, that was the idea. It would angle about like
Yes,
this.
perfect. Exactly.
Yeah, the swivel idea, we could make that work. It gets really tricky with that big screen.
I think it's okay.
Okay.
Just solid mount. It'll be better in the long run to lock it down and just not be moving it. And you know what? We've got the repeater.
Exactly.
And you know, it's a big display. Anywhere in this room you'll be able to see.
Yeah.
And the block
Yeah,
will be able to
and-
be reused, right?
And the block, you could use that block still. Yeah, the beautiful block that Clint made.
And then, yeah, and the
Just the
problem
block.
with swiveling it is then you have to bring it so far out.
Yeah, so that, yeah. No, I think if you lock it down and then if you'll also match the VHF with, you know,
Angle?
at the angle, that would be
Yeah, well,
very
We
nice.
definitely want to, because you don't want to have to be going around the edge of the ladder to try and look at the VHF. We want the
Correct.
place where you can stand
Correct.
right here and see.
Beautiful. Okay. We need to then just figure out how to mount it on the bracket,
Yeah.
like what needs to be done in order to elevate it to a similar.
Yeah.
And we can talk to the guy about that.
Well, the other
using that bracket?
Well, the other thing, see, is that if that's swapped around, see, because the problem, what they've done is, if you needed to hinge it in when it's mounted on the bottom, obviously it's not going to go. With it the other way around, it would allow it to hinge in further, but you don't want it angled out more.
Right.
So,
But no, that way obviously works the best, but you can't flip it upside down just like that
Yeah.
unless we can invert the display,
Yeah.
which we can't. So the other
So we
way,
just have to measure it to know how much we'll take off the bracket.
exactly.
my question, if you could flip it around the other way, does it actually even lay correctly at all to hang it the other way?
Yeah.
You don't mind it? It's just not too far pitched forward or...
Gee, somebody got strong hands here.
Be the same.
No, they're yeah.
Okay. So it hangs pretty like it hangs flush here, so that's good.
Well, it
And
doesn't.
the deck is actually pitched, right? The deck itself
Right.
is pitched,
Yep.
so what do you call them?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What are those parts called that are supporting the deck there?
The deck beams?
Frame deck.
Those are the deck beams,
Yes.
short deck beams.
Like a deck beam, but only smaller.
Okay, so now all he has to do is somehow...
Just like a real life, only smaller.
See, as is, I think it hangs down too far.
I think so too. It's,
So we need to trim that by like 3 inches, or whatever that is, 2 inches.
When we get downstairs, I have a tape measure.
Well, I can get a tape measure.
Well, yeah, but
so that, see, the problem is that
No, that's
essentially back in there.
Yeah.
now, so here's the thought.
It just doesn't look right.
If
Well, no, I agree.
Charlie, in the thought
Yeah.
of this, if he's going to rebuild the bracket,
Yeah.
why not make it so it angles out slightly, that the bracket's actually slightly wider than the display, so you can tip the unit back into the bracket? Did that make sense? Right now, the bracket is a given width. What if
Oh, he's talking about these sides
Yeah.
wider, so that could go.
Yeah, and it's just about manufacturing a new bracket rather than adjusting the old one.
Yeah, you'd have to make a whole new bracket.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, again, if you have a fab shop doing it, The only thing would be to take you'd have to take the unit with you so that they could.
No, he comes here. Yeah, he.
Or he comes here. Stainless steel guy.
Yeah. I'll
No,
talk.
here, these are all basically
Yeah.
the dimensions. You can just take the bracket. All he has to do is
Is that
cut it
aluminum
into-
or stainless?
That's stainless. Yeah, I'll talk to Keith McMillan.
Keith,
Get him over here.
exactly.
Yeah. Because
He's all part of the team.
You could
He's the
keep
team member.
The bottom piece of the bracket, which actually attached the actual where the screw thread goes through, and then cut and create a new bracket that comes out an inch on either side.
You would just make a
That
whole
would
new
be-
one.
Right, exactly, and just use the parts where it screws in are actually, you can see they have or you can just cut it and take those parts out. You know what I mean? They have
There's something attached to the bracket.
unscrew the bracket for them.
Yeah, it's got a piece of padding.
No, it's not padding. It's actually to keep it from moving.
Yeah, it's a ratchet type
It's a
thing.
ratchet.
It's got little
That's the word I
teeth.
was looking for.
Yeah, got little teeth.
Right. So you either gonna take that and use it.
Where are the teeth?
They're on the back side of here.
Oh, they are. Okay.
They slip in the slot there. Is that Dave?
I don't know that you need it.
Were those even being
I don't think
used?
you could do that, John. I'll tell you why. Because the bracket, the only way they could do it, they'd have to build a much wider bracket and then space this out.
Right. But again,
Yeah,
you
it
could.
does.
It doesn't have to be that much wider because all it has to do is clear that first piece there.
No, it'd have to be wider than the whole framework.
Yeah, to do what? To do what?
Well,
he
you need a
wants-
spacer in here.
He wants to hinge it back in this way.
But
No,
oh, it's also
no, not quite that. I just want to be able to make the display rotate clockwise from where you are. Just looking at it now, rotate clockwise about another 10 degrees. And if the bracket was large enough to clear the piece that your hand is resting
This one
on,
here.
then it would bump against the outer flange
Right
there.
here.
But that would give you another 5, 7, 8 degrees.
oh, and then mount it closer.
No, and then just allows you to stand up and see it better.
All right, let's just turn it the way it is and lock it down. Beautiful.
First coat.
First coat, okay. Didn't see too much bad wood here in this area.
No,
Like in
you
the blocks?
You can tell the bleached out areas. Actually, I fixed this over here. This came out pretty nice. What this was, there was no iron in there. It was all bronze bolts.
Okay,
So we dug them out and filled them full of epoxy and replugged them.
like these here and this
And
one
this
here.
one right here, you see, this right here is all sanded down over the years. I kept sanding it and sanding it.
Right? Oh yeah.
So we fixed that really good. I got the epoxy in there and then got the varnish on it.
Nice.
Glad to see that those weren't iron bolts.
So these are the other bolts I see were dug out.
Yeah, all
these
the
color-
big dark ones. Yeah,
Great,
it's looking pretty good.
great. It's a nice seal. Hopefully we won't have any leaks and stuff in here.
Hope not.
Well, not like it rains too much up here anyway. It ain't Maine. No, and you got a nice coat of varnish on this whole place. Huh? Beautiful. Kind of fun to see how it looks after all the work, right?
Yeah.
It's like the final painting.
Sanding is, it's not fun.
Got to wear a mask.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I always wear a dust mask.
yeah,
A good one, not just the paper
right.
cheapies. Yeah,
Old man's coming back next week.
the boss
The boss returned.
should be back from his trip. Have all this varnish on, at least one coat,
Gotcha.
and then sand it out, do some 220 on there, and lay another coat on.
Great. Yeah, now we've got about 8 weeks. September 20th. Are we going to make that? We ready to go by then?
We're gonna be darn close,
Okay.
if not right on the money.
Gotcha. What do you see as the last big things? The caulking?
Yeah, the caulking. That's probably the biggest. Just getting this varnish on, getting the hardware back together.
I mean, when you look around this boat, you see you've basically touched every part of it. You've rebuilt this boat. How does that make you feel?
Feels great. I'm happy to be involved in this project. Learned a lot,
Right.
It's been good working for you guys, making something nice for someone. It's always a good feeling.
Well, don't worry. I think your kids are going to have a lot of time on this boat.
Oh, that'd
When she
be
gets
awesome.
launched. Yeah, for you to be able to get on the water.
Be
You know,
awesome.
you can't take them on your surfboard, but you can take them on the boat.
All in time, right?
Yeah. So this the white part, I think people are kind of curious. What's going on this? This is not wood, right? It's some kind of a.
It's probably Dynel set in some kind of epoxy or resin.
What
and
is
then painted.
Dynel? What is Dynel?
It's a kind of an old-timey, not really, but old-timey cloth.
Okay.
It has really good abrasion resistance and kind of an alternative to fiberglass cloth. It holds whatever you're putting, like epoxy. It holds the material real well, so you can sand it down, and it doesn't have a tensile strength, but it has really good abrasion resistance.
I see.
So that's probably what they did, is Dynel, and then whatever coating over that, and painted it. So
the top sides that were in reasonable shape.
yeah, there were some little issues about the plugs. We already talked about the plugs.
Yeah. What else were you seeing this last week where you're like, geez, that's got pretty much all of it, huh?
Yeah, pretty good. I just wanted to get most of the runs and drips of the old varnish off the house, which I did a really good job of doing that. There shouldn't be any noticeable runs.
Beautiful.
I don't think it was ever sanded out for a long time like
Yeah.
what I just did.
And then all these
Scrubbed.
these little mounting spots.
Yep, they'll go right back.
And you'll just varnish right over there.
Yep, I've scraped them, and as good as they're gonna get bedded with dolphinite, so why take that off there? It's protecting the wood, you know.
True.
You're not gonna see that. So we'll bed all the hardware and everything with dolphinite, clean it up real nice after it's varnished.
Great. And the deck has been holding up. Nope, no, didn't see anything going on here.
Nope, nothing popping up yet.
Right.
Just kidding. It's looking nice, looking good.
Great. All right. And some of these were not taken. These were taken out, right?
They were taken out, but they were really, really hard to put back in, so they're staying in.
They're staying now.
They're probably not ever coming out again.
So here
here
we
is-
are in the cockpit.
with the repeater.
Okay.
Now, the original thought was to mount it up here, and
Right.
Doug flatly vetoed that idea.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
not
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go.
I know.
So at this point, where it fits is right here.
But isn't that where other gauges were?
Well, there's some gauges going here. They're surface mounted. But that's where some of them, you have the ones
So
up there for
how
the
come that
sail,
fits so perfectly?
Because it was cut in. It was made completely.
Oh, for
This
that.
piece was made deliberately for this at
Oh,
the right angle. It matches the angle here.
Actually-
Or no, it wasn't?
Actually,
It's cut.
that's where the old Signet instruments were.
Yeah.
That box was already built. I just cut the hole so that this would replace where the Signets. Then in the center, we built a box that is the
Another
same
box like
angle,
this. Goes
and the
right
two instruments will go in there.
Got it. Got it.
Okay, so you're saying you're moving the signets to the middle. You're moving the.
The instruments,
The
which
instruments.
were the old Signets, and now the new Raymarine one,
Oh,
are
okay,
going
yeah,
to
yeah.
the center.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Let me take these down.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go.
All the old engine instruments and autopilot.
Yeah, that stuff is still, that's the original, or not original,
You
but
have your sail instruments up here.
yeah, we'll see those next time or in the next. Counting down how many episodes we have? 3, 4 episodes
3, 4,
left
5 episodes.
here? Maybe not even. Not in the shop.
No.
You know, maybe three more. Next one after, and then that's it.
2 rails, vent, and this part of the deck here. I'm just looking at how much varnish I need to weigh out here. Not much.
Come on, slap it on.
We're gonna slop it on with a broom.
Some nice thick. Pour it up.
I'm actually gonna thin it out a little bit here.
Why?
Just helps it flow with this first coat.
Okay. So what kind of
Just the stuff I picked up at Home Depot. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, what's wrong with Home Depot? Schooner. This is Doug approved.
Oh yeah.
And what exactly is Varnish?
Nowadays,
Petroleum product?
I'm sure it is. Just all the additives and stuff to it, you know. You know what? Let me grab my other rag here.
As you're varnishing, what are the keys to good varnish?
I'll do a wipe down on the stuff that I've sanded already. Wipe down as much dust free as I can. And then you just don't want to lay it on thick. You don't want to lay it on too thick. And the big flat surfaces, a lot of people, they'll lay it horizontally and they won't come back and tip it vertically, and it's just, that's how you get your runs and stuff. I mean, it can be done, but it's good to tip it off vertically.
Yeah.
And just keeps everything from flowing. Otherwise you have all those little grooves and it just kind of, you'll see a sag or the brush marks.
Sure.
So try to keep the brush marks to a minimum, obviously, and just build it up in between coats. I'll pour a little bit in this can here.
What's the point of the little paper leaf?
It's a strainer. When you open a can of varnish, you're always going to get little
bits?
Just little chunks and stuff, because there's air in there now.
Okay.
So.
Some bits might harden.
Yeah. That always happens. So.
So don't forget, folks, strain your varnish.
And don't ever dip out of the can.
Never dip out of the can.
Unless you're doing your pre-soak on raw wood and you thinned it out a lot, you can dip out of the can because you're going to sand it off anyways, but you don't ever want to dip out of the can.
Okay. Now you're going to thin it up with some just thinner, paint thinner?
Yeah, some brushing liquid, kind of help it flow a little bit. Just a tad. It's pretty hot today, so.
Yeah, here we are, end of July.
Well, it was hot yesterday. Woo! Had to move fast. Keeping the doors down gets, you know, it's nice to keep the wind from blowing, but it gets hot. All right. Let's take this up here. I've already blown this off and wiped it a couple times, but let me get this one here, excuse me. All right, is there something else here? Yeah. There.
I'd need knee pads.
I do usually use knee pads or something soft, but I'm going to be moving around a little bit here. a couple minutes, it'll lay out the streaks from the brush. Yeah. Gotta stand back in the light and make sure there's no holidays. It's easy to do when you're not paying attention. It's nice to pull instead of going with the grain.
Pull across it.
I pull across the grain. It's kind of counterintuitive when you're, as far as painting goes, you know, you always want to go with the grain, but that'll lay out nice right there.
It's more of a cerebral thing than a lot of talking here. It's more of a montage, musical montage.
I hear some reggae out there.
I hear some music, that's for sure.
Those guys, you never know what you're gonna get with them, I'm telling you. You'll get rap music, and then all of a sudden, there'll be Steely Dan playing.
That's kind of fun.
That's gonna lay down nice.
I see the hatch here. It looks like you've done some prep on that.
Yeah, I started sanding that. It's gonna have to be sanded out a little bit more around the forward and aft end of it. So I took the hatch off this morning.
Oh, nice. Do that down below, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna sand those out and put them in the paint room. Ooh. This is fun getting under here.
We get to see some big finish work here. And that's just thinner, paint thinner?
Just a little bit of thinner.
Dries pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah.
And does it take, will it take the varnish off? Any of the varnish
No.
off? Dust is your enemy, huh?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a little vacuum after this.
Okay.
Just kind of. This also gets any weird oils or anything on there.
Feels as smooth as a baby's bottom.
You never know.
Supermodel's bottom. I hear.
You hear? Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, that's what they're supposed to feel like. All right, let's make some noise.
Say again, you need a little what?
Tape off the teak real quick.
Take off the teak.
Take it off.
Take off the teak. The whole way, huh?
Look like an old man now.
But at least you can see. So when you do this taping, you have to kind of make sure you don't cover any of the wood you want to actually varnish.
No, and I'm kind of letting the varnish run over the caulking
A little bit.
just a tiny bit. It's acceptable. Just like the king planks, when we do the king planks,
Yeah.
it's acceptable to do that.
Does it leave a stain on the caulk?
You just see a little bit of a residue, but it also, you want to build that
So-
up on the seam there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
This is basically to keep me from having to sand the teak. I can cut that in with a brush, but the good thing about the teak is any varnish strips on there sand right off. Easy. That right there.
Yeah.
It'll sand out.
That's a little bit of varnish.
Just a little bit of varnish on there and stuff. It's,
All right. Yeah. Okay, so right now we're just doing the flat. Get a nice, just pour a whole bunch of it in there.
no.
What's not how we do it? So I would do it. Just pour it in there.
Slop it.
Yeah, well, a nice thick coat.
You don't want any runs and puddles.
It's not that thick.
There's a guy on YouTube I've been watching. I forget his name. He's cool. I like him.
What's he do?
He's back east. I think it's called Ask a Shipwright or something.
No way.
I think that's the name of his site or whatever it is.
Really? And he
But,
does videos?
Yeah, but he's super cool. I like him.
Okay.
East Coast.
Oh, you're doing the whole. Look how beautiful. Is it? But this is only the first coat, or this is the?
Yeah.
Very nice. It's a process. It's not perfection. Tough spot under there, huh?
Yeah.
You getting it? Looks like good. Fun to see the different colors. Some of the guys online were saying, yes, bleach the wood. Looks better. It's like, you know, you bleach the wood in your boat.
We can do anything if you want to take the time to do that.
No, we want to launch this. We need to get this boat in the water. With that shine, that high gloss finish.
The scoop hairs.
No, people always say, oh, 48 feet, she's so big. I'm like, dude, it's a little tiny piece of strip of wood in the middle of the ocean. This is a little tiny boat. But she's strong, and she sails great. Just love, you know. She sails as good as she looks, so that's all I can tell you.
there's a million different ways to varnish.
Yeah. Yeah, you just want to get it on in a nice, even, right? Even fashion.
You don't want it puddled up too much somewhere where you get some drips, you know? You see what I mean when if I went with the grain on here?
No, definitely. That looks better like that, yeah.
Take the time.
Well, if we come back in 3 weeks, mid-August, August 13th, 14th, like the 17th will be the next trip up.
Okay.
Basically, everything should be done by that point.
Dave will be here wiring.
Dave will be here wiring, yep. So really, I was thinking about it. This is probably there's this episode, August 17th, and then a two-parter, the 19th, 20th, and that's it.
Then the yard.
And then what?
Everything at the yard.
Then the yard, rigging it, and then we'll be moving into the next season, sailing Susanna.
Sailing Susanna.
Try to get
How
over
much
to.
higher she's gonna float?
Well, it'll be really, really interesting to see. I think everybody's very curious to see how she sails.
Actually, I think that this boat has really been put together quite well.
I mean, so obviously it was a completely kind of different way than Doug had ever, these are European boats, kind of put together a little different. But it seems like it was a pretty good match, Doug with this boat.
Yeah, well, see, Doug's a very traditional guy. And he does things the way they're supposed to be done, okay? I imagine you were here at some point or another when they were driving screws through the planks into the frames?
Oh, you mean when, yeah, sure.
Okay?
Yeah,
Now, a lot of people are driving them in straight.
right.
All you're going to do if you drive them in straight is you're going to start splitting the grain in the frames.
Okay,
Put them in an angle and they're going to hold better.
right.
The screws are buttered up with tar
Yeah,
as an insulation to help prevent leaks as the boat gets older and the boat works. There's a lot of traditional stuff in here that isn't done anymore. Here you are.
and as a surveyor,
It's
do you,
still old school.
old school, but as a surveyor, do you appreciate that, or is there value put on those old-fashioned techniques?
There's value put on those old-fashioned techniques because this boat's going to last longer than if you went down to XYZ Boatyard and they got, whomsoever that's working at the boatyard that day, here's some screws and a drill motor, go put the planks on.
Does Doug, where is he in that talent pool?
Doug is probably one of the best wood butchers on the coast. Second place is an Italian guy down in San Diego. Can't think of his last name right now. But he's very good.
So when,
Because he does it old school. Born and raised in Naples.
wow,
Built boats growing up as a kid.
right,
Came over here in like '64, something like that. Worked for one of the best boat repair shops down in San Diego. The guy's an artist.
But there are not a lot of those guys.
There's not a lot of those guys, no. You know, a lot of these guys go, well, you know, I went out to Seattle and went to the wind boat school, or in Port Townsend, went to the wind boat school. And some of the work that I see from those people leaves a lot to be desired.
So we found the right place. You know, considering I didn't know Doug, I didn't know the talent pool here in Southern California. I could have done worse.
The fellow that owns Cheerio 2, when he had his little mast problem a few years back, he called on Doug, he called on me, he called on Mike Kelly, he called on Dave DeCruppel, and we all went down and met at the boat, and his grandson, who's an adult man, came down to see Grandpa's boat, and he says, I want to introduce you to the old masters. And he went after one after the other. And basically what it boiled down to is his unaltered opinion was, these are the guys that have been doing it forever. These are the guys that have more knowledge here than any of these people who went to these new modern wood boat schools. Because you can't learn in 8 weeks what these people have learned in 40 years.
So we have a good team.
Damn good team.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to your complete survey and final disposition on the boat, and
Well,
I think she's looking pretty good.
She's looking real good, and Clint has learned an awful lot in this project, which is going to go a long ways towards making him a good wood boat surveyor. And there's very few of us left.
There you go. Home stretch.
Almost there, huh? Constantly, what are you gonna do? You're 47. You know?
It's okay, I'm doing it. We're doing it.
My wife's awesome. I just gotta make it happen, get off my butt, you know? Runs. I don't want any runs.
So he's trying to slop it on there like I would be doing it. Exactly. See, nice big long strokes. Coming into the end.
Almost there, Charlie.
Almost there. Then we'll be back in 3 weeks, middle of August. Literally, we have approximately 60 days. 60 days until the truck comes.
60 days until D-Day.
All right, that looks beautiful.
First coat on. You can tell the dry spots along the margin board there that they'll do with the second coat.
Hey, this is the end of Clint's episode. Thank you, bud. Appreciate it. Looks absolutely amazing. I'll see you in 3 weeks.
Yeah.